Hello and welcome to Republican Roundtable. I'm your host, Jennifer Zielinski, and tonight we're talking about elections. It may seem like 2024 is way off from here, but our state legislature is looking at ways to even change how we do elections. With us is our new guest here, Ellen Cousins. Ellen, welcome to the Republican Roundtable.
Well, thank you, Jen. Thanks for asking me to be here. I appreciate it.
We love it, and it's always great to get that new perspective of what our state legislature is doing. But first, tell us about yourself.
Well, I moved here right out of college. I had my first job here. I moved away for a few years and then came back, and I've been here for over 30 years now, raised my family here. And I am in sales and marketing and just really love the community. And I've always been very active in Minnetonka.
And you've taken an interest in politics, even just getting involved in your local Republican Party, even running for office, I believe.
I did. I ran for the State House several years ago.
And it looks like your new cause is ranked choice voting. And what's going on with that?
Well, a lot now. Back when in the pandemic days, 2020, they decided to bring it into Minnetonka. Mm-hmm. And at this point, people are realizing that it's becoming more statewide. So they're trying to get in. So the organization that's been trying to push it through has pushed it through several cities. It's now in 5 cities. Mm-hmm. And now they're trying to get it statewide. But not only are they trying to pass legislation to get it statewide, they also want to make sure that every city can put ranked choice voting in place for their elections without even people voting on it. So a city council can say, well, we want ranked choice voting and declare it.
So it's even without citizens having that say for ranked choice voting, it's just going in without having the citizens say it. It's just a city council and a mayor waving their wand essentially and voting for it.
And voting for it, yeah. So that's what this bill is trying to do.
Let's take a step back here first. Mm-hmm. Just to explain to our viewers, what is ranked choice voting for those who may not see it every day in their elections, or they just fill in their first choice and ignore the rest of the ballot?
So yes, so for ranked choice voting, you have a lot of candidates, or you have candidates come in. There's been no primary, so there's been no vetting of those candidates. So on the general election, it's the first time you actually see those candidates on a ballot. Mm. And there's no maximum that you can have on the ballot. So with that, you have 3, perhaps more choices on your ballot, on your particular ballot. So let's say you've got 3 choices, like they do in Minnetonka, and you choose your first choice, you choose your second choice, and you can choose your third choice. You don't have to choose anything but your first choice.
Okay.
But you have the ability to choose 3 candidates.
Now, how does the tabulation work with it? So I choose, there's 4 candidates running, A, B, C, and D, mm-hmm. and I choose A, B, and C. How does that work for tabulation?
So then when they're counting the votes, they look up they count the first choice votes, right? Mm-hmm. And if you don't have 50% plus 1, then it goes to the second round.
Okay.
So the second round is the first off, the one with the least votes. Mm-hmm. That candidate falls off.
Okay.
So then from there you have the second choice. So all the votes from that candidate go to the others. If somebody has marked on their ballot the second choice, then those second choices go into the second round. Then it goes to the third round if you don't have that 50% plus 1. And then from there, it goes to the third round, and it continues until somebody gets 50% plus 1 vote.
Is there a chance for a recount at all? I mean, could it go on for quite a few
It's
ballots.
very hard to audit, almost maybe even impossible to audit. So, and recounting, yes, you can recount, but it's not. It's very hard. As a matter of fact, you know, there have been times when there has been a mistake made, and with that mistake, they declared the wrong winners. But then it came back, and they found out that actually another person had won.
It's interesting because when I knew this was going to be our topic, I've been researching it myself, you know, talking about it with others, and of course, the Google ads that pick up on me talking about it, and now I'm seeing Fair Vote coming across my feed, and it seems like it's the blessing, you know, it's the best way to do it. You talk about there's still that recounting involved. Is it a cheaper way of voting, or is it more expensive?
They claim it's a cheaper way of voting, except that it doesn't pan out that way. In Minnetonka, we had to spend over $100,000 to implement ranked choice voting. In Illinois, they've been studying it, and there's only one county that might be ready, and that county said it's going to cost over $1 million to implement it. So I don't see how it's more or less expensive to have ranked choice voting in your city or your state.
So when we're trying to save money, when we're trying to look at ways to maybe cut where government is wastefully spending, we're taking an election process in place that has worked and does work when it's done right, and we're putting in something that you first of all have to educate voters how to use it.
That costs money.
And now recounting it, so now you have to have people, election judges who know it well enough to explain it to voters.
Right.
So that's training, and then...
And even in Minnetonka, there were some election judges that did not understand it and were giving wrong instructions.
Even talking about it with people who I consider very knowledgeable, very smart people, we don't understand it. We have to look into it more. And it's just, you're a person who does research. You're a person who listens to the news, who's in touch with the political and government world, and you need to take time to understand it. Your average voter who wants to just vote down the ballot, they're not going to completely understand it.
That's absolutely right, Jen. And that is, you know, one of the big issues is that disenfranchisement with the average voter that happens, and they say it's not worth it. I'm not going to do it because they don't have the time to even research a couple of candidates that have been vetted.
Yes.
Much less, let's say, 30 candidates, over 30 candidates, from Minneapolis mayor's race in 13, over 30 candidates.
I remember that one. I lived in Minneapolis at the time.
Right, and how long it took, and it was over 33 rounds, and it was that, I mean, that is what they're considering for our state. And those were just council races. By the way, they're supposedly nonpartisan, at least in my city. So.
We know it's hidden, but we know they all have their preferences or where they fall on the political spectrum, but you know, you'd like to think they had some sort of neutrality when it comes to that.
Right.
Well, what's happening at the state level? So
at this point, it's been heard by the Senate and the House, and they are trying to, what we are trying to do is keep it off of the floor.
Okay.
So that is but at this point, it's been heard through the Senate. There will be no more hearings in the Senate. There might be one more in the House, but the Democrats, without any Republican support, are passing it through.
I've said this before, we have a runaway Democrat Minnesota government right now, unfortunately, that can pass whatever they want as long as everyone on the Democrat side goes with what they have.
Right.
You know, stands on party line. So now it sounds like the Democrats want to pass it across the state at city, but also at the state level?
At the state level, yes. They want, this particular bill forms a task force
Okay.
to study implementation of ranked choice voting. And then it also allows for any municipality to use ranked choice voting. Again, as we mentioned before, without even a vote. So, of the citizens in that municipality. And then that task force, by the way, is made up of people that have vested interest in getting it passed. At one point, they changed it. They decided that the optics weren't too good on there, but they actually had in the original bill that fair vote would be part of that task force. Now they're just saying people that have interest and education in voting systems, which is their way of saying this is where fair votes fits right in here. Right? So,
I'm sure a couple members are still on the task force, but it's.
Yes.
But now they would apply it at the state level as well. So our state candidates would run it.
Not only our state candidates, but our national candidates.
Okay. So
So-
congressional.
All of every vote, every race would use ranked choice voting. So can you imagine? We've got judges, we've got park board, we've got all of these different races using, how long the ballot is right now on those major general elections. I don't know how many sheets they're going to have to use for ranked choice voting.
Feels like it would be a book. Fill out this book. Like that would be a standardized test at that point.
That's right.
Hopefully I get the right answers, but what happens if I, as a voter, if I don't fill in my third choice, does my ballot get thrown out if it gets to the third, or does that disenfranchise voters?
It really depends on how that works. So on who you voted for, right?
Okay.
So let's say you've got that crystal ball and you know exactly who's going to be on the final round, then your vote will continue to count the entire time because you know that your vote is going to be part of the final round. But for the one who does not have a crystal ball, their vote very well may be gone by the third round. So they will not have a choice in those final two candidates.
I just can't imagine. I mean, I'm that voter that fills out everyone. I do my research down to school board, down to park board, because I want to know who I'm voting for.
Sure.
But again, when you're trying to research something, you'll sometimes only see the basics about a candidate, and finding something on a judge or finding on a school board candidate is difficult. And now you're making it more difficult for them to research on anyone running for office.
Right. So that's part of why you're going to see a lot of voter suppression at that point. People just will not feel comfortable going into the booth, and because it's too much time. Actually, there's a story from Bloomington. One of the election judges, she had somebody trying to vote. The woman came in, she filled out her ballot, she fed it through the feeder, through the counter. It spit it out. So she went back, got a new ballot, came back over, filled it out, tried to fill it out, put it in, it spit back out. A third time she went out, so she got her ballot, filled it out, put it in, it spit back out. She said, forget it, this is not worth it, and she walked out.
And you're wondering, is that just a one story, or is that happening
again and again? And she actually knows that her vote didn't count, because a lot of times it'll just go through because of the way you've marked it, and then it won't count. It won't actually count. There's all sorts of spoiled ballots. There's the quote-unquote exhausted ballots. An exhausted ballot is a ballot that has been discarded. So even in 2017, again keep on going back to to Minneapolis, right? But the mayoral race where Jacob Fry was the winner, 22,835 ballots were not counted in the final round. That's 22,835 voters who did not get a choice in that final round of voting.
And could that could have changed the vote? That could have changed the mayor,
Sure.
whether it was Jacob or Betsy at the time or whoever was running. Fortunately, I can't remember who was running for mayor in 2017. It's such a long time ago.
Well, there are quite a few. So
exactly. I don't think it was as many as 2013, but
no, it wasn't.
Definitely quite a few. And we're still getting the same candidates coming in. Jacob Fry won the most recent Minneapolis election, despite having a lot of candidates running.
Right, and so one of the things is that they say that it helps fringe candidates, but what we're finding is that actually the incumbent has such a big advantage in ranked choice voting, and I say that happened with Jacob Fry. That happened. It's happened in Minnetonka. It happens again and again. The incumbent actually has the advantage with ranked choice voting.
And I feel like that's normal with normal voting as well. People know who that incumbent is, whether or not they've been the greatest elected official. That's maybe they don't do their research, but it's not changing with ranked choice voting when it was supposed to change.
It's not delivering on the promise. So.
And are we seeing friendlier elections? One of the big topics I saw from Fair Vote was that it creates friendlier elections. Is that the case, or is it still pretty down and dirty?
It's still pretty down and dirty. However, you may not see the candidates get that down and dirty. But more dark money, more people are coming in, and they're able to trash a candidate.
Yes.
You see more in social media. You see more of the letters to the editors. They're nasty. It's not making elections friendlier. It's, in my opinion, from what I've experienced, it made it worse.
It was definitely very interesting to see that during the most recent Minneapolis one as well, 2021. I had to think back which year was the most recent one. Again, we were coming out of 2020, trashing of all the candidates on there who, I think all of them who had a good chance, I still saw that. Are we seeing those alliances being built where vote for this candidate first, but vote for me second? Is that part of the scheme as well?
It is part of the scheme. I'm not sure how well it works, but yes, that is what they are. They say that they're doing that. So, if you don't want to vote for me that first, that's okay. I'll take your second choice. But it's not. It's not changing the election. It's still very difficult to understand, and it actually causes, it creates a little bit of collusion between candidates. So, and I think that it just doesn't feel that fair.
Yeah. And we've seen this in other states. What other states have enacted it? What other states have repealed ranked choice voting?
Sure. So Maine and Alaska have it, and North Carolina has repealed it.
Okay.
There have been several cities that have repealed it. Aspen, Colorado, Ann Arbor, Michigan, Burlington, Vermont. I have repealed it, and as a matter of fact, there are 2 cities at least that I know of that are actively trying to repeal it right now, and that is Bloomington, Minnesota, and Minnetonka, Minnesota.
And I'll get back to Minnesota here in a moment.
Sure.
But these other cities that repealed it, was that at the citizen level? Was that at another level?
I don't know exactly if which, how each one did it, but I do know that it was because of voter dissatisfaction.
So their citizens woke up and said, this isn't working the way we thought it was. It's not bringing about election changes.
Right, right. Mm-hmm. It was not delivering on the promise of,
And
of a better way to.
And it sounds like there's a concern with auditing the ballots as well. We are always concerned about fair elections. We want every voter's voice to be heard. Somebody will come out as the elected official. It might not be everyone's first choice, and that's understandable.
Right.
But we want our elections to be fair, so that that person who is making that selection in the ballot box has that they can legit vote. Is auditing in ranked choice voting an easy task, or is that?
It is. I'm almost impossible. And they're counted based on they have algorithms in the machines that count them. So they are. There's and I don't understand enough of this, right? But I do know that it's darn near impossible to actually audit. Because you've got your first choice, but this is your first choice, but it may be my second choice, and it just keeps on going. It's just very difficult. And like I said, I don't know enough about how the audit works, but I do know that it's very hard to do.
Yep, and it's almost starting to get to 2 or 3 votes per voter versus 1 vote per voter.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So yes, it really does take away that one vote, one person, one vote, which is at the bedrock of our democracy. So.
Now you talked about Minnetonka and Bloomington taking action.
Yes.
I love seeing that. I think more citizens need to wake up and take responsibility, even if it's just that awareness of what is happening, local government, county government, state government. What are you doing, and what is both Minnetonka and Bloomington doing?
Well, we'll start with Bloomington.
Okay.
So last year, Bloomington had a petition. And there was part of it that the city council rejected.
Okay.
Part of what they had on their petition. But they had all of the petitions, right? So the city council said we're not going to accept it, just totally, versus just taking that little bit off, the one sentence off. And so they've been going through a lawsuit, and they're still waiting for a decision as to whether or not they'll have a special election before next year's 23's election. So then with Minnetonka, we are in the process right now of starting our petition, and we plan to have it. We have plan to get signatures the months of April and May, and have it ready to submit to the city in June.
That's great.
Yes.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. Yes, but and then once, because it's going to be a successful petition, right? So then of course it's a matter of campaign to repeal RCV once it gets on the ballot.
That's great. I mean, that's a great step.
Yes.
Especially, hopefully, that will take effect with everyone else watching Minnetonka and Bloomington and realizing this isn't what we want at the state level or across the state, carte blanche.
Yes, right.
How can any residents in Bloomington or Minnetonka, or just anyone, get to know more about your petition, about your organization?
So for Bloomington, there's a website called rcvscam.com. They can go on there and learn more about what's happening in Bloomington. And Minnetonka, we have a website called Wake Up Minnetonka, wakeupminnetonka.com. And there's a place where you can fill out, contact us, and we will contact you after, once we get your email, and we'd love for people to join us.
get more information.
Absolutely. They'll be able to get more information about what we're doing, about why we think our CV is a bad idea. It's not a good choice for Minnetonka or the state of Minnesota. And join our movement.
It's just always unfortunate that citizens not only have to take now this step to learn about voting and learn why we don't want it to change, but also, you know, take their time to learn about candidates. So it's great that you guys are putting this forth and hopefully making it that step so citizens can take that step towards.
Yes, well, you know, community is very important to us.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is just our way of keeping our community friendly and open and welcome to all. So, and voting is really so fundamental. It's such a fundamental right.
Basic of our country, like
Mm-hmm.
our chance to choose our leaders and
Yes.
making sure we have that ability and it's not going to change in any way.
Right, right. And one of the things that, you know, our late Walter Mundell, he was firmly against ranked choice voting. And so he said that elections should be plain and simple, and ranked choice voting is neither. It's complex and confusing. And that's why we agree with him.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, Ellen, it's been great having you on and educating on us what's going on.
Yeah,
thank you
thank
for
you.
being on the show.
well, thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about ranked choice voting with you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us on Republican Roundtable. I encourage you to look up those websites regarding ranked choice voting, educate yourself. And once again, thank you. Have a great day.